value for money budgeting. And if you go to our website, we actually have an entire white paper on value for money budgeting. So if you have insomnia, we can help you. And I agree with you on the broken process, and I'll do a compare and contrast pretty quickly here. The current system, how does it work? It's a handful of leadership people at state government going behind closed doors, letting special interests come in to argue about who wins or loses the marginal dollar on a base of funding streams that has been there for decades, coming out to the legislature saying, here's a take it or leave it proposal, largely forcing people to vote on that without proper legislative input, the way I would like to see. And then it's all about spending money on activities and programs. If you tried to run your household or your business that way, it would have been all over a long time ago. We need a system that gets back to value for money, and how do you do that? You have much more transparency and openness in the front end. You put the facts on the table so people can see them online, hand them out. The next stage is, let's do a multi-year budget, because that forces out a lot of the monkey business. To do a 2-year budget, and then hopefully longer term with some forecasts for the future. Then the next thing is budgeting is going to be based on results and outcomes. Measurable, tangible things that are real outcomes and measurements. And then you figure out who's best to do that work. Then you do continuous improvement, just like you would in your business. There's an opportunity here for what I call smaller, faster, better, cheaper government. Actually, better services at a lower cost and greater customer satisfaction. That's the budget process we're going to put in.
Mr. Snyder, one of the ways that the customers of Michigan access our government is daily through its court system. And as governor, one of your unfettered powers, if you were to become governor, would be to fill judicial vacancies. Would you tell us briefly about what your judicial philosophy is? Would you tell us which two candidates for the Michigan Supreme Court have your vote, and what current or former justices of the Supreme Court do you either admire or not admire in terms of their approach to deciding cases?
Well, in terms of philosophy, I've got a fairly conservative philosophy. I believe they should interpret the laws on the books, not make law. And in terms of question from your perspective. In terms of Bob Young and Mary Beth Kelly. So with that out. I never know either. Go ahead.
The first question is, do you believe that we have too many cities in the state of Michigan? Would you consider consolidating a lot of city services or even consolidated cities as a way of mitigating some of the bureaucratic nonsense that's going on? And second, my question is, the debate as to how to reinvent Michigan is often framed in terms of we want to invest more money in manufacturing. There are a lot of people who want to abandon manufacturing activity in Michigan, and they're saying, look, we've lost that. Manufacturing has gone down to Mexico, it's gone to India, it's gone to China. Others say, no, we can't abandon it because Michigan is based on the manufacturing base. And that particular debate is very prominent in a place like Warren that does have a strong manufacturing base. What are your thoughts on those?
Yeah. In terms of the manufacturing-based question, in terms of looking at that, what I tell you is, I believe manufacturing is something we should be proud of. That actually, I think it's making a strong comeback. I think the auto industry, with the restructuring in particular, I give tremendous credit to Ford Motor Company. Yeah. I mean, to make it through that entire process. That manufacturing is part of the core of who we are. What I'll tell you from the broadest perspective is, government shouldn't be spending its time picking winners and losers with industries. The role of government is to create the most level, competitive playing field, and then let free enterprise work. In that context, though, as manufacturing we should be proud of, I'm proud to say the Michigan manufacturers have endorsed me. And that's something that's interesting because other people like to say other things about my view on manufacturing. But it's something that we should be proud of. It's our legacy. And I want to do more to help all our industries, though, whether they're manufacturing or not, to grow and flourish. Diversification is good, but let's be proud of the auto industry. Let's be proud of the base we have. Right here in Warren, I've been happy to say I used to do work with Taycom and Targa. in terms of helping take research and work with them on how you take research and put that in the commercial marketplace. So you're a core of that for the defense industry that overlaps with the automotive industry. So there's great things there. On your comments on the cities and consolidation, my view is I really want to push for service consolidation, not necessarily legal consolidation. Because let's do service consolidation where communities cooperate. We have to knock some barriers down that are legislative to really make that happen effectively. And to set the stage for that, I'm gonna tell you something I've called for from day one. I think it's long overdue to frame the discussion. How many people here have any idea about the financial status of the state of Michigan? How many people can tell me the assets and liabilities of the state of Michigan? You're the owners, right? Shouldn't you know? And the way they do it today is there's a document called the Comprehensive Annual Financial Report, commonly known as the CAFR. I'm a CPA. They should have a nice warning label on it that says not made for human consumption. And so what I've called for is at the state level to begin with, a real set of financial statements in plain language that we could hand to anyone here, that you could see the facts. You could be able to look at questions and get answers. And then I'm going to ask that be done for every jurisdiction in the state, every municipality, every city, every county, every school district. And believe me, that's going to open eyes. Because citizens should be involved in that process, and that will actually be a precursor to getting people very interested in having a real discussion about service consolidation and a number of other things, because we can't afford the government we have. And we have a lot of municipalities that are on a tough path. About 2013 or 14, literally there could be hundreds of jurisdictions going insolvent in our state, the way the property taxes work and the way our finance system's set up. And one of the reasons I have urgency to be governor, one of the reasons is I want to get there now, as soon as possible, to be proactive instead of reactive. Instead of having it become a huge crisis, let's get there and work on these issues now. And the last thing I'll add on that is, this just isn't a Michigan issue. This is a national issue. We just, again, have to be leading the charge, but let's show some leadership, and that'll help our image as we turn this around and show we can actually address our real issues the way we should have. So there's a good opportunity.
Rick, I think we have time for one more question.
Yes, Mr. Snyder. We certainly hope and expect that you'll be our next governor, and if you're elected governor, at least you can keep things from getting any worse. But hopefully, best case, the Republicans will also gain control of the House and the Senate, so you'll be in a position to make some really positive change. As a person that's active in city government, one of our biggest problems is that government unions are basically gutting out the state from the bottom up with unlimited pay, unlimited compensation, and legislation that's put in place by the Granholm administration and her people that it make it impossible to control, lay off, or constrain city spending in any way. I just hope that when you're in power, that we can get to work at taking out some of this tremendous overlapping body of legislation that makes a hiding place for cities, counties, school boards, local governments of every type to literally tax the resident and the business out of Michigan. We hope you can do that.
Well, thank you. Yeah, you see, setting the stage with the balance sheet, things like that, the financial statements is a great starting point. Because then we can have a real discussion as to what the issues are in an open fashion. Because a lot of it is we need to work with people. And a lot of this is instead of people keep on going like this and fighting about it in the he said, she said way, it's about time that we set out the facts, we have a real open and honest discussion, we look at common sense answers, we come together, and we get something done. That's what I'm excited to do. So I really appreciate it. They told me I got to wrap it up. Thank you for all your questions and such. Hopefully you're getting some fire and passion though to see November 2nd is coming soon. And although we're doing well in the polls, don't take it for granted. I need your excitement, your fire, your passion. We're staying on the gas, but I need, to the degree we're successful, even more passion in January. So pass the word. Let's make this happen. So thank you so much.